Henshin Inspection presents Going Ultra. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. You can find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Join me as I talk about Ultraman Blazar episode 23, which is titled something something. Let me find it. Oh, Visitor 99, that's what it's called. The kaiju featured in this episode are Taganular, Deltandal, Firdran, and Varallon, who we'll learn more about later. But anyway, let me talk about the episode. Overall, I liked this episode a lot. I was kind of debating. My initial thoughts were, more Deltandal, why are we getting all these repeat kaiju? And then when we saw more Taganular, I thought, okay, why are we getting all these Taganular? It's really irritating. But the way the episode went, the way it unfolded, it got buy-in for me. I totally believe, well, the Deltandal I'm not sure about. The Taganular, I totally understand what's going on with them, and I find this premise really interesting. So I made a few notes. I'm going to go through them one by one, and I'm going to start with the thing I liked least, which was, I thought Haruno had already been dismissed or suspended or whatever. What's going on? I read through the wiki, and he was dismissed in, I can't remember which episode, but it was a few episodes ago. He took full responsibility for whatever SKaRD did that was against orders, which it was good they went against orders, but I'm trying to figure out, like, is there a conspiracy at the very top with certain people who are, like, keeping the V99 thing secret and they want the aliens to come, or have some of the V90, like, I don't know. I'm confused. So that you've got V99 and you've got the third wave. Those seem like separate issues. You've got Lab 66. Lab 66 is where Firdran came from. It seems like it's possible Lab 66 was used to open up a wormhole to pull Blazar through, and maybe Firdran and other things in order to fight the coming... the Villano, or whoever the guy's name is, the kaiju that came in through the distortion in space. So, like, I don't really get what's going on. They're keeping it all very mysterious, and it's a little frustrating because the lack of clarity is making things seem dumb, making things seem inconsistent, making things seem confusing, and I find that really to be frustrating. I do like where we're going, that we're seeing that, and that goes all back to, like, who suspended Haruno, because Haruno was getting secret phone calls from people talking to him about the third wave or whatever. So, like, he knows what's coming, sort of, and he's trying to prepare for that. And that's probably why Earth Garon was designed the way it was. They didn't know they could count on Ultraman, or maybe they were expecting to get an Ultra or something like it 3 years ago, and it seems to have failed when the whole Lab 66 thing blew up. And, like, the old man, whose name I will look up real quick, was being protected. Where's Haruno? Taganular, GGF, Moon, Varallon, Dobushi. Yeah. So Dobushi, the old man that was being protected, is Dobushi. Dobushi was being protected by, among other people, Gento Hiruma. Hiruma maybe, possibly, sort of died there, but that's where he made contact with Blazar. They reached out and grabbed each other's hands, right? I think that was related to the Lab 66. Not that the Lab 66, like, wormhole machine or whatever, was at the location of that building, but maybe it could have been, maybe it's portable enough, I don't know. I don't remember when Emmy's father went missing. So it's interesting, this is tying together all these plot threads, but it's like, they're a little too desperate, it's a little too much. I think I'm struggling with it as an adult who analyzes stories, not as a living, but like as a vocation, as like a hobby, as like a joy in my life, and I'm having a hard time piecing it together, and I think kids would be having a harder time piecing it together. I don't know if watching the little specials that appear in between episodes would help to keep things straighter, but it's really frustrating because it seemed like Haruno was gone, and he was out of there. I didn't realize he'd just been suspended, and when was he reinstated? When was his suspension lifted? I don't know, but he appears at the end of this episode, episode 23, to talk to one of the big guys in the show, or in the military, the GGF, and I don't know what that means. It's very strange. It's very kind of confusing. So yeah, it's strange that he's not there anymore. I already talked about Blazar killing Gento slowly, killing him softly with his noises, with his trills, so we won't go back over that. But I'm wondering about, like, Taganular being part of Earth's Kaiju Defense Force. See what I did there? KDF? Yeah? Ultraman Rising? No, you don't? Okay, never mind. So, Taganular apparently is a good guy. And also, it's cool, there are, like, class 60 meter, class 30 meter, class 20 meter Taganular. So there's Taganular of different sizes, which totally makes sense. They should grow at different rates, but I like that they have them classed by their height, basically, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool little detail I picked up on watching the episode. But my main point is, it's interesting that Taganular is apparently part of the Earth's Kaiju Defense Force. Like, they mentioned that there's some part of the ecology of Kaiju on Earth that they can sense or detect Kaiju coming from outer space, and they can help combat those Kaiju. So, like, earlier, when Taganular were going for those sippy cups full of energy, when they were going for the Anatron, they were doing it so they could power themselves up to shoot a beam. So they're like the artillery, basically, of the Kaiju Defense Force of Earth, which is like a wonderful, amazing. Now I'm thinking about a Super Sentai team made of Kaiju. Anyway, now I'm thinking about a Super Sentai team made of Kaiju. It just blew my own mind. Anyway, I guess that's what Zords are, right? Megazords or whatever. Anyway, so that's really interesting. So, like, what other Earth Kaiju in this series have been doing things to help combat the threat of this Varallon, who's, you know, that's Varallon. That's a spoiler, I guess. It's like the guy who was on the space, or who landed on the moon because of his distortion got messed up. And, like, where is this all coming from? Like, so these people, some sort of intelligent race came and visited humans some time ago, maybe 3 years ago. Oh, no, in 1999, that's when it was. When your girl Emmy was born, I guess. Yeah. Is that when they originally visited? 1999? I guess. Anyway, so they visited it at the time and, like, warned humans that this guy was coming to destroy. So, like, did he ravage their planet? And he's, like, going from planet to planet, sucking up resources. They're like locusts. Like, is that what's going on? I don't really know. It's a lone Kaiju. I don't see how he's part of a bigger group, but he could be. He could have, like, a psychic connection with other Kaiju, and they all swarm the planet and suck it dry and then leave its husk and go to the next one. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But anyway, it's interesting to me to think about what other Kaiju are working for this Kaiju Defense Force. And, like, Taganular's artillery, like, what other roles do they play, and which other Kaiju could it be? Because I'm trying to think of all the new Kaiju for the show, for Blazar. I would think it would be the Blazar exclusive, or Blazar first appearance Kaiju would be the ones, but I don't know who they are, and I'm not going to go through that right now. Maybe somebody could help me in the comments with that if they knew off the top of their head. Also, like, why is it Earth Kaiju versus Space Kaiju? Or is it, you know, because it's not really Space Kaiju, right? It's Kaiju from one planet to another planet. So they mentioned that it's like this is the home territory of the Taganular and other Earth Kaiju, so they would want to defend against Space Kaiju. But, like, why wouldn't Kaiju just get along? And that implies that there's other planetoids or planets that have a similar living conditions as Earth, and to think that Kaiju could travel from one to the other is kind of interesting. Kind of, I don't know what to make of that. Anyway, and then, let me see. Like, does that make sense that, like, Earth Kaiju and Space Kaiju would be fighting each other? I'm not really sure. And then I want to know, like, if this is an Earth Kaiju versus Space Kaiju battle, is this like a sequel? Like, not literally a sequel, did this happen before where Earth Kaiju and Space Kaiju fought each other, or like this particular Space Kaiju perhaps fought each other, or one of its species, and, like, the Earth Kaiju know that it's coming, and they know to protect against it? I'm really curious about that. I do like the fact that, though, this concept of an Earth Kaiju, like planetary Kaiju, being guardians of the planet, makes sense, and it, like, justifies the existence of Kaiju within the world of Ultraman Blazar, which is not explicitly tied to any other Ultraman universe or Ultra series, except for crossovers when they hand wave away stuff just to have them do a cool, tie-in together. But I do like that. I really do appreciate that. That's something that I've been wanting to do in my stories, is if I'm going to have Kaiju, I want Kaiju to make sense in the context of the world and have a reason for existing in the world, because I don't think things are random. I think everything has a purpose, and there's an order, and there's a design to it. So that makes sense to me, and having to, like, navigate a world of world building and thinking about stories where things just don't make sense, there's no logic to it. There's Kaiju because there's Kaiju, and that's all we want, to say that there's Kaiju. But, like, giving them a reason to exist. Like, each planet has a certain amount or certain set of Kaiju, and they are supposed to exist in harmony with the Earth, which would make sense because all animals exist in harmony with the Earth. Humans are the exception, that we don't always exist in harmony with Earth, but that's because we have this volition, and we can choose life, and we can choose right, and we can choose to live in harmony with the Earth. But that's something we have to do, and that's a debate for another time. But I think that's somewhat at the core of some of the storytelling in Ultraman. Anyway, I just think it's a really interesting prospect. I do like this episode. I do like where we're going, and I'm curious to see what exactly happens in the next couple episodes. And the idea that being Blazar is already putting Gento's life at risk, but being a Blazar who wins all the time and who defeats all the Kaiju, and him still potentially dying from that, like, that's a really interesting stake, and that's a really interesting consequence, because he's being a hero by putting his life on the line, and then secondary to that, being a hero, putting his life on the line is putting his life on the line. So that's really interesting, and I'm wondering where they're going to go with that, and that's kind of a very interesting angle for them to throw on this. So to sum up, I like this episode a lot, and except for that weird thing about Haruno, and it presents a lot of questions, and I like that. It's engaging me, it's drawing me into the story, and we've had a couple episodes for this thing to finish out and for us to see where it goes. So anyway, I hope it has a strong finish. Until next time, folks, take care, be well, be Ultra. One more thing I forgot to mention. I want to grow this channel and my other channel, Fortress Fiction, to 10,000 followers at least, and that's my goal. And I don't know by when. Let's say within a year. I want them to have 10,000. So I want you to help me with that goal. The more subscribers I have, the more people like you who are enjoying and following along with my work, the more I'll be able to do, and the more we'll all be able to enjoy together, and we can have great Ultraman conversations. We have great, other Tokusatsu conversations, and there's a lot more I can do. But the more people I have following, the more people checking out what I'm doing and enjoying it to whatever degree, and having a back and forth conversation, commenting and liking and sharing it with people, the more fun we're going to have. And as far as Henshin inspection is concerned, it'll keep going at a certain pace. I've got to figure that out. I'm doing a lot right now, and I'm trying to find a better schedule so I can keep writing and keep working on stuff over for Fortress Fiction. And aside from Fortress Fiction, where I'm analyzing books, and right now I'm starting a new phase in that where I'm doing chapter by chapter reactions to books, and then at the end of the book I'm going to do a review on it. Right now I'm working on J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan from 1904, I think. It's a really good book. It's super cool. There's a lot to love in there. If you've only seen any of the film adaptations, you're missing a lot. It's such an interesting work. It's fascinating, and it's like tangentially related to Tokusatsu. If you enjoy, children's television shows like Ultraman, you'll enjoy a lot of what Peter Pan has to offer. And anyway, I want to grow that channel as well because I'm interested in writing. So I'm trying to balance work, family, life, writing, and running that channel where I'm talking about stories, and running this channel where I'm talking about Tokusatsu stories specifically. So anyway, I'd really appreciate you helping me out with that, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. Subscribe to keep up with me. Like and share to help me reach more people like you. And go to mjmunoz.com to find your next favorite thing. And don't forget to let your voice be heard. Stories are always better when you're part of the conversation. Until next time, be well. This is MJ signing out. This has been a Story Over Everything production.